Hello and welcome to the Perception Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Casey Zellers, and today we are hopefully going to change your perception on things that you thought you already knew.
We need Christian game designers. I'm like, and then that led to me actually getting experience with a startup game company.
I don't know if you had the same thing growing up. For me, it was like, oh, well, video games aren't really going to get you anywhere in life.
Video games are just as good of a storytelling medium as, shows or books. I would say to specifically the girls that are maybe interested in getting into game development or in the tech industry, there is space for you. I'm proof. When God confirms that path for you, it's just He will make that path clear. It will all the steps will fall into place.
Hello and welcome to the Perception Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Casey Zellers, and today we are hopefully going to change your perception on things that you thought you already knew. And joining me in the studio today is Imani Peters. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Good.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about video game development today,
Yes.
mostly. And gosh, there's a lot that really goes into video games that I didn't actually really fully understand until I started looking at the modding community for all the PC people. Much respect. That's all I have to say to everybody. So, so I guess just I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of how you got into video games.
Okay, yeah, sure. Do I look at the camera?
Look at the camera, or anywhere, yeah.
But I would just say hello. My name is Imani Peters. I'm 22. I just graduated from Indiana University with a bachelor's in game design and development. And right now, actually, I'm starting up my own studio called Alethea Studios. And the main objective for me right now is just to make a game and put a game out there. So I'm developing a game called Chef Nia with myself and a small volunteer-led team. And then, that's just the main focus right now. Yeah.
Gotcha. So how did you first get into video game design?
Okay, so that is
it's a bit of a loaded question.
Yes. Yeah. But I've always loved games. Growing up, my dad, he actually worked in IT, and so what he would do is he fix up the broken computers that his work didn't use anymore and then just give them to me and my siblings. So I was 6 and I knew how to use a computer and I'd log on. And one of the first things that my parents had me do, or my mom specifically, I think she heard about Starfall, which is an educational learning website for kids. So you could go on and learn the ABCs. They had it in grade levels, so you could learn the ABCs. Learn about just how to read, learn about different tales, mythology and Greek mythology, Chinese mythology, all these different kinds of things. Songs were there, and it was just fun for me. So that's kind of my introduction to gaming at 6 years old.
What was your first system?
My first system, I would say PC,
PC?
Just laptop, actually. That's why to this day I still work on a laptop.
On a laptop, okay.
Yes. So a laptop. And from, I would say the other thing that also got me into games as well is also through my school. My school was, I think, just very ahead of its time now looking back. It was a small, it was a charter school in South Florida, and they also use computers. They had computers in every classroom. They were the big, bulky computers.
Okay.
But yeah.
So it was a fun day to go to the computer lab.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. After class, they would let us use it, and we'd play educational games through there as well. So yeah, just growing up, that was the main thing. And then over time, I found out I started searching on my own. I'd just be I'd type in virtual worlds, to play, and I found Club Penguin. I found all of those sites, and from ages 6 to 10, I was just playing on my laptop, and it wasn't until around 11 that I got an Xbox One, and then that became my go-to gaming system. So yeah.
Gotcha. Were you player 2 a lot? Growing up with some siblings? Or?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I say player 1.
Okay.
Because I'm the oldest, so I kind of taught them also how to play games, honestly. Going back to Starfall, my brother when he was, so I was like 6 and he was like 3, and I'd be like, Matthew, like, he would like ask me, okay, this might sound a little bit mean, but he would ask me how to like, what does this say? I'm like, Matthew, just read it. Like, you just read it. And so he kind of taught himself how to read.
Putting Matthew on the spot right now.
Sorry, Matthew, if you're looking at this. But yeah, he kind of taught himself how to read, but it was through that, educational like game system, and then I'd play with him, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's just like also a bonding moment for me and my siblings. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love games. Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up player 2.
Player 2. Are you the
Mm-hmm.
oldest or youngest?
I'm the youngest.
See, that's why.
Yep. Yep. And then if my brother invited a friend over, I was
Mm-hmm.
player 3.
Oh, okay.
And if
See.
he invited 2 friends over, I was player 4.
Oh,
And if
okay.
he invited 3 friends along, I didn't play
You
at
just
all.
weren't
I just
playing.
watched. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I was.
Yeah.
So when did you really kind of, I guess, understand or really kind of look at video games as like, no, this is a passion and this is something that I think I want to do as a career? Because I don't know if you had the same thing growing up. For me, it was like, oh well, video games aren't really going to get you anywhere in life. But now, like, it's a billion-dollar industry, and there's people making millions playing them competitively. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
I would say growing up, yeah, I also didn't see that. I mean, I was kind of a kid. I was a kid when I found out that video games were a career, but growing up, like, yeah, you don't hear about like, oh yeah, you can be a game designer at a job fair. Like, that's just not a thing.
Right.
But I also, so when I was younger, I used to play Roblox, which is like a popular platform. Like every kid plays it now. But I would see, so I was like 10 or like 11 years old, and I would get articles on my phone about like this 9-year-old like built a Roblox game and he's like a multi-millionaire. And I'm like, wait, what? You can make money like making games? Like what? So then I looked into it a little bit more, and I found out like, oh, game designer is like an actual thing. Like I want to make a game when I grow up.
Yeah.
And so going forward, like even into high school, like I, tried to develop, little ideas, and I played around in like the Roblox engine, and but I kind of set my eyes on, either doing game design or art. And then in my senior year, I finally realized that like, no, I want to pursue game design. It's something that's challenging for me. It's something that, I want to understand, and I do want to have my own game out there someday. So, yeah.
What were some of your early, like, games that you thought of, like, oh, this would be a cool concept for a game?
So there was a phase that I had where I was really into steampunk. So I was really into that steampunk genre, like the aesthetic, and I wanted to make a steampunk game. So I was like, creating mood boards on Pinterest for that and everything. I never got anywhere, but one of my early designs and a game that I really want to develop after I'm done with Chef Nia will be, it's more, I can't spoil it too much, but I do have like a whole like storyline for it, and it's going to be more similar to Lord of the Rings, and it's a whole fantasy world, open world RPG. That's the game that everybody wants to make once they when they make a game, they say like, oh, I want to make an open world RPG, but yeah, that's still like, my dream game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely want to get to that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, steampunk it's underrated. Maybe not underrated, underappreciated.
Yeah,
I think is
it's
really the
cool.
world that.
Yeah, it's a very cool genre. So yeah, maybe in the future, who knows? I
Yeah,
might make
maybe
a
in the
little
future.
steampunk game.
Because I don't know. It's just, to me, it's just fun to have like a blunderbuss and like airships and just like.
Just steam powered.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
The hot air balloons and the
Yeah.
like the aesthetics. Yeah.
So do you like BioShock and sort of other games like that? Or?
I like the aesthetics. I've never played it before though.
Okay.
But yeah, I would be definitely down to try it one day.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, how do you think you've grown as a person through video games? Because for me personally, I love a lot of people don't really like too much grind whenever there's like the open world sort of RPG type of stuff. But at the same time, like whenever you work for something so hard in a game and you get it done, like you feel better about yourself. So do you think that correlates into your real life at all, or?
I would say, I would say it does. Like games have, helped me. Like, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. Like you accomplish something in the game, and just your efforts that you put into the game, like now you're able to replicate those same efforts into your real world,
Yes.
day to
Okay,
day.
yeah, yeah. No, I definitely like agree with that. And I've seen like how like, like it does give you that sense of accomplishment when you do, like you're, spending all your time trying to defeat this boss, and then, you finally defeat it and you get the armor that you really wanted.
Yeah.
So it does translate, into real life. And um yeah, no, I would say yeah. Then there's like also like some parallels that I'm also drawing to like some things that I've experienced. Like I was in track in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and this was around the time of COVID, but like it was 2019, and I started conditioning, and I've always wanted to be in track, and but I never had that opportunity to
Yeah.
actually go through the practice. And I spent months just like training, training. One of my best friends that I was doing it with, she left part way, and I had to make that decision. Okay, like, do I stay, do I go,
Yeah.
but I decided to stay, and I trained, and I actually ended up making the track team.
Mm-hmm.
And but then COVID happened, so I didn't get to actually compete.
Compete, yeah.
But it kind of showed me like, whoa, like if you actually put your mind to it, like I was not like strong or at all like before taking track, and I saw like how I transformed, and and just that I could do it, if I put my mind to it. And so like that also helped me with in terms of game development, like realizing that I can like do this thing. You can do
Mm-hmm.
anything if you put your mind to it. I really believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you first got into development, like you're sitting in class, was there something that you were like, oh, I had no idea that was a thing, and that was something you kind of had to overcome or something to learn along the way? Or
I would say yeah. Like the just the
like,
entire just the entire game development process. Like people, it's not really understood, and I also
hmm
didn't understood. I mean, like I said, I wanted to make a game, but I had no idea how I was gonna get there.
get to that point, yeah.
So yeah, so there's like there's different softwares that you have to understand, or different
hmm
softwares that are built for different kinds of games. So the most popular is like Unreal Engine or
hmm
Unity, and I had to learn those engines and familiarize myself with those things. And those engines also have their separate like programming languages, and separate ways to put like assets in, so it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So I would say that part of game development has been the most like, whoa, like, okay, I did not know how that was done. And then also when it comes to creating 3D characters, because that's the other part of my degree that I specialize in, like 3D
Okay.
graphics and animation, and just the amount of work that goes into animation specifically, but also just creating a character in general that you see in games.
Right.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Do you
stuff.
have to, I'm assuming you'd have to like create like almost every little bit of like the character and then fine tune it.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much detail goes into that?
Um, yeah, it's a step by step process. So at least when it comes to, so it's called 3D modeling, when you create like a digital 3D character that you're going to use for games or movies or animation.
Okay.
And you start off by, yeah, either you could take a box or a sphere, and then you extrude those polygons. Every asset, 3D asset, is going to be made of polygons, which is like just like a shape, like you could say, yeah, just like little squares,
Okay.
little triangles. And so you take those squares, triangles, extrude them, and yeah, people make whole characters and everything like that. But it doesn't stop there. After you extrude it and you make the character that you want, sometimes it can be too what's the word? It can be too like intensive for game engines. So what you're
hmm
gonna have to do after that is like unwrap the character,
Okay.
which means that you just basically separate it into different it's like when you take a cube and then you unfold it and you see that it's made of like 6 squares.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Okay.
After that, you put a texture on it, and that's how we can color it. So we have to color the squares, and then we can fold it back up, and it creates a
And
3D
so
model.
you're creating not just 6 squares, but 12, 24, 48, and then so on and so forth.
hmm
Just all sorts of
Yeah.
just to make sure that it's like crystal clear and really this looks good.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole step-by-step process. I wish I had visuals to make it
I feel like
easier
I'm
to
sitting in
understand.
class right now.
I know.
Yes, taking
I
notes.
know. But it's yeah, it's a process, texturing, and then after that, yeah, if you do the sculpting route, some people like paint their 3D models, so it's like a ball of clay, 3D sculpting. It's this exact
Oh,
same in real life, but like digital. So
okay.
starts off with a ball, and you could take your pen and like, pull out different points and make something. But
Okay.
that's the part where it's just like, okay, that clay has to have so many millions of polygons for you to be able
Mm,
to move it and have smooth creases in the model. So you
okay.
have to take that, retopologize it, which means that you make it simpler for the computer to understand.
Okay.
And then after
Gotcha.
that, you can texture it. And then after that, you can rig it, which means you put bones. So just like how we can move, we can't move without our bones. Like our
Right.
bones hold us up, and our.
So then you're kind of solidifying certain parts. Like
Mm-hmm.
this will move with this part, or like our bones do and our muscles kind of move as
Right,
well.
yes. And
Wow.
that's a separate job. So everything that I just listed is a separate job. So 3D modeling, 3D sculpting, somebody will do the texturing, and then rigging is the process where they put bones and the skeletal system into the model so that it can move for animation.
Oh, wow.
And then the animators actually are the ones that move the model and make it like wave or walk and talk.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a
So it's so wow. So whenever there is like one or two people working on a game,
they're
it-
doing the whole thing.
they're doing the whole thing. Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's even a lot more than I previously would have thought.
Yes, it's
Okay.
a whole thing, and that was just the process to create the character. That was not even the process to create the game. So even though you have,
Gosh. Wow. All right. We're not even.
yes,
Oh my
yeah, because
goodness.
you can't have a game with just a character standing still. That's boring. So that's my
Yeah.
job to make sure that the game is fun for the player. So I'm the one that's making the documents, defining the system. Okay, so when you're in the game and you see somebody standing there, is that just no? They can't just stand there. So I'm just like, okay, is the player going to run at you? Are they going to be chasing you?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if they're chasing you, okay, where do they go? Where do you go?
Mm,
Okay, maybe you have to run into a building and collect something before they catch up to you. Okay, what are you collecting?
okay.
What does a building look like?
Mm,
How does this relate to the narrative of the game? When you collect it, what can you do with that item that you collect? Is there a shop? So that's my
mm,
job. Yeah.
gotcha.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. And then there's dozens of other characters that you have to design too,
Yes.
and then you have to design the world, and then you have
Yeah.
to. Oh my goodness! Wow, I'm already just amazed. Okay, so
Yeah.
then, how do you work with concept artists, or do you kind of do your own concept art for each character that you want to put into your game?
I would say both. So
Okay.
so I guess in terms of my game,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do have like an underlying narrative, but I have a narrative team and I have a 2D artist team, but I do have sometimes I have a general idea of how I want this character to look.
Okay.
So I can we can well, first before you even start off creating anything, you want to have references
Mm-hmm.
and mood boards. So that's what I do. I like compile a list of mood boards. Okay, like I like this necklace that I saw on Pinterest. Okay, let's maybe incorporate that into the design somehow. And then, this hairstyle and this and that. And then, you can give it to the concept artist, or in the past, like I have created concept art. And
Yeah.
then from that concept art, you give it to the 3D modelers
And
who
then they
then
design the
create the
character.
character. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. So
Mhm.
there is a long process that
It's a
goes
whole
into games.
system. Yeah.
Gosh. So whenever there's, say, like these big name studios putting
Mhm.
out game after year after year after year,
Mhm.
is all of that really taking about roughly 18 months?
Um maybe even longer.
Really?
Yeah, maybe even longer. I mean, Skyrim, I think the developers, it took them 10 years to make that game.
Yeah.
10 years. So 18 months is a good like cycle for like a just like a I would say like an indie game, or
Mm.
even a like The thing with AAA games, they're so big that they can reuse the assets that they have created for
Mm,
one game. So it
yeah.
might take them faster. So like Call of Duty, they
So
can
they're just going to
release,
reuse some of
yeah,
the
they can
same
just,
engine and stuff, but yeah,
yes, yeah, they can just reuse their same maps, just texture it a little differently and then
sure.
just, release a new game. So it's easier for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that that creates laziness or stifles creativity for some developers?
I think that it can. I think it just depends on who's creating the project,
Mm,
because I think it depends on the person because there's a lot of people, and it is common in the game development world to reuse assets. Like you can buy assets online.
mm-hmm.
You don't have to create everything from scratch. But it's what you do with them. Are you just gonna like put it in the level soppily and just like, expect the players to find that fun, or are you going to make sure that that experience is enjoyable for the players? So
Actually developing the narrative around
right,
something.
exactly, instead of
Gotcha.
just like putting it in there, like, so it's
Gotcha.
yeah, it's just you have to care about um making sure that that experience is fun for
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now that kind of makes me wonder a little bit. Yeah. All right. So then let me get your opinion on this then. So
Mhm.
we've been seeing a lot of, say, like indie games
Mhm.
nowadays versus AAA, and there seems to be like a little bit of a Civil War
Mhm.
ish style of AAA and indie games. And we're seeing a lot more gamers pick up the indie games more than they are the AAA
Mhm.
games. Um, I'm curious to know your thoughts on why you may think that that is. Do you think it's because there's maybe a little bit more passion
Mhm.
and narrative and less money symbols in people's eyes whenever it comes to the indie games versus the AAA? Or
Yeah, no, I would agree. Yeah, I
okay,
just think that indie developers aren't afraid to take risk.
mm,
And so they're not afraid to like, come up with like new and novel ideas that, we haven't seen before as players.
mm-hmm.
And so I can relate to that too. Like I've never seen my game is like a cooking rhythm game. Like I've never like that doesn't exist. So I just kind of made it up. So now I'm like, but it's hard to do that though. It's that's also a reason why um AAA studios, they don't want to take risks because, if they're developing this new idea, there's a chance that they might not have a market for it and then they lose all that money and the time
Mm-hmm.
that they've spent developing games. So
So it's easier for them to
to just
quote play it safe.
yeah, just play it safe and follow, the formula of games that have worked out. But it does, stifle creativity because as players, like, okay, like I don't want to see the same thing. Like I just saw that last year. So
Right.
so yeah, but I am a fan of like, I love my, shooters that I play like Overwatch and those AAA game studios, but I also really love indie games, and that's also um, what also inspired me in just diving deeper into game development,
Mm-hmm.
and it made me realize that okay, this is where I want to be because some of the indie games that have come out, like the way that they tell stories with them is just crazy. Like I didn't realize that was possible because I was just playing, just like, the popular games.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you could actually use games to tell stories in the way that you can
Yeah.
with movies and, plays and all that. So it's just, yeah, it was mind blowing for me. And it made me realize that, like, okay, my first game, I want to make sure the narrative is sound. I want to
Mm-hmm.
develop the characters and just, tell a great story with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There are three games that I think everybody should play at least once in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild,
Ooh, okay.
because like that's just fun and it forces players to um, adapt is really the word I would say because you
Mm-hmm.
go into a cold region, well, you're gonna get cold, and if you don't get out of there soon enough, then you're gonna freeze to death. So you have to like find like a way to stay warm, all that
Mm-hmm.
type of stuff. Your weapons can break, so like you have to make sure you have a good, healthy stock of weapons
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. So it's forcing the player to have to adapt. So whenever the
Right.
weapon breaks, it's like, oh crap,
I gotta do something.
now I got to do something else. All right. Um, and then also you can go anywhere in that game. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
not like an invisible barrier
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. So it's just free roam. You
Mm-hmm.
can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Um, I would also say my favorite game is the Resident Evil
Oh,
1 remake that they
okay.
did for the GameCube back in like 2002, I think it was.
Okay.
Um, and I love that because, gosh, it sounds cliche to say it,
Yeah.
but they don't make them like they used to. So, but they really don't, because
Mhm.
that game had all the backgrounds and everything. It's all
Mhm.
pre-rendered because
Mm.
they understood the memory and storage capacity and power of the
Oh.
GameCube.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, we can't do that. That'll break the game.
Yeah.
So they
Mhm.
pre-rendered everything, and then everything that's in the foreground now that's like shiny stands out to the player
Mhm.
for them to like pick up an item or something like that.
Mm.
And also just the fixed camera angles and all that sort of stuff, and not having that over the shoulder sort of camera that you see in a lot of shooters nowadays.
Mhm. Okay.
Like, to me, that's just innovative.
Mhm.
So do you think like stuff like that should be a little bit more common, and we should see more risk from indie developers?
I
To,
think so. But I think the biggest problem with indie development is just the lack of funding, because it
yeah.
does cost money to create these games and to take risk, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's like the biggest issue with, you know, indie developers. They might have some good ideas, but maybe it just doesn't get realized because
Yeah.
they don't have the funds to continue to development, or it takes longer to develop the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would love to see more risk from indie developers and AAA developers
Yeah.
too, just in the game industry as a whole, because you know, we're evolving. You know, we've seen, you know, the classic platformers and the shooters. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I feel like there's so much space. Games are such it's like, I feel, one of the just influential mediums that we have out there, because
Mm-hmm.
you know, unlike a movie, and I do love movies, but you know, you just watch them, you know, and games, you actually get to experience them. Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
in that person's shoes, or like you can interact with the environment. So like,
Yeah.
imagine if you're watching a movie and you can like choose, you know, what path the movie takes, you know, or where the
Yeah.
storyline goes. That's what a game is. And so it's just
Yeah.
so immersive, and I feel like it is still underutilized, and there's some cool ideas that, you know, can still be done within
Mm-hmm.
games. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So to you, video games really is as much as storytelling as it is
Mm-hmm.
to anything else that's out there, art wise.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And obviously, like, games can, you know, there's obviously people that, you know, just want to, you know, create fun games, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the games that are addicting, you know. So, like, what are some games that I'm thinking of? Like, you know, Flappy Bird.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have a narrative,
No,
or,
but you
you know,
just
but it's
play it.
just fun. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just fun. So yeah, there's that aspect. You don't have to take it so deep,
Yeah.
but it does have the potential to be, you know, to be very impactful if you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So then, diving deeper here,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think that that kind of speaks to you on a spiritual level?
Um, Game development as a whole, you're
Mm-hmm.
saying?
How would you say
Um,
would you say that that's really kind of the tool
mm-hmm.
for you to grow as a Christian as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so. I mean, I would say that specifically when I started developing my own game is where I have grown the most
Mm-hmm.
spiritually.
Okay.
And it has, like, yeah, just some of the things that have happened and the way that God has shown up has just been crazy.
Yeah.
And
Like in what ways?
okay, so when I started this idea of like Chef Nia, and, you know, wanting to create a narrative game, you know, I just started with the idea, like, you know, I was going through a lot in life, and then I wanted to tell that story of just a girl that like struggles, you know, a lot. She goes through a whole lot, but then at the end, like, she succeeds. But I didn't know, like, okay, like, how was I gonna, you know,
You knew A, B, and C, beginning, middle, end, but
yes, I did
not
not know
really.
how to
Yeah.
get there really. So that was like one of my biggest prayers to God, just like, Lord, like, please help me with the storyline of this game. Like, I don't know what to do. And, you know, Ecclesiastes, that was, you know, when everything changed. Reading that book and just seeing, just, I mean, it's a very, like, it can be a very
It's an
depressing
emotional
book.
roller coaster.
Yes, it's emotional
It's
roller
happy,
coaster.
it's sad, it's angry, it's happy
Yes.
again, and then sad again. What?
Yes, exactly. And it's, for those that don't know, like, the book of Ecclesiastes is a book told from we don't know who it is. It could be, it's like said that it might be like King
It's King Solomon,
Solomon.
I think,
Yeah,
is the
King
most common.
Solomon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically he's like going through, like, he's just honestly wondering what is the meaning of life. And
Pretty much.
yeah, he's just going through, like, laughter is meaningless, riches are meaningless, women are like, having all this, relationships and just fame, money, everything is meaningless. And then at the end he's just like, all that we have, or what gives us meaning, is to first enjoy life, just enjoy the life that we have, and then secondly to just love God. And that's like, blew my mind. I was just like, oh, like that's, what
Mm-hmm.
I've been missing. And so I wanted to
Mm.
base my game off of that, just that whole message of Ecclesiastes, is just realizing that that we can't place our purpose in, material things, or there's bigger things out there, and we need to just be there for other people, be that light in other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so so that just unlocked everything for me and just helped me grow as a person as well.
Yeah.
But also that's what I centered my game around as well.
Yeah.
And then there's just been crazy ways that God has shown up, even with me getting a team to help me develop this, because
Really?
I said
Okay.
I'm a game designer, and game designer doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go ahead and program the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
You could have programmers for that. You can do both, but I cannot. I'm not a skilled
Do you
programmer at
code?
all. No,
No?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I know the basics, and I can do level design, and I can, do some things within the engine, but I cannot do advanced systems. So I'm a game designer. So like I have a friend that, said that, like, Xavier, he said that like he would help me code the game.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, great, but like, this is kind of a big game. I think we're gonna need more people than this. So then I reached out, then I started I made posters around my school, and I, said, okay, like we need like 3D artists, lighting artists, environmentals, the sound effects people, like the whole thing. And to my surprise, I hosted I had a date, where the call out meeting would happen, where I, would explain, what my game idea was.
Okay.
And I had a call out meeting, and to my surprise, like more than I would say like more than 10, like I'd say 10 to 15 people showed up.
Okay.
And I was not expecting that. I was
Wow.
expecting like maybe one or two. So the fact that much people showed up and they were actually interested in my idea and my pitch and, the plan that I had.
Wow.
Before like I even had anything, I just, made a simple level. I showed them a simple level with like a character running across the screen.
And they were like, we're sold.
Yeah. So even that to me is just like a miracle, because like, that doesn't happen often. But yeah, no, and they've stuck with me, and and they've helped me out. And so I basically, and even like even if I just dive into that a little deeper, sometimes I'd be like, man, like, because even though I do have a team, like I still have to be ready to pitch in when I can, so like I said, I have 3D knowledge, so I can jump in and do the characters if I have to. I can jump in and do the level design if I have to. So there was a time where like, okay, like I was just missing one person. We did not have an environmental artist.
Okay.
And I was just like, man, like, I really wish, like, I know that like things are gonna get tight, and we don't have an environmental artist to help us with our trailer, the 3D trailer that we're making. And then out of the blue, like somebody on the team goes, oh, Imani, by the way, I have a friend that's an environmental artist and she's interested in joining the project. I'm like,
you could have told me that.
I know, but it's just like things like that have kept happening even now, like, and it's just, I have to give it all to God, because it's just like every time that I pray for something, or every time there's something that, the project needs, it just, it's like help arrives, So it's been just, I'm very blessed on this journey. Like there's just so much more that I can say that, maybe isn't coming to mind right now, but it's just, it's just been really amazing.
Yeah. Has there ever been a part of you that's kind of I don't know, I guess the word I'm looking for is like doubt. Would
Mm-hmm.
you ever have doubted yourself, or maybe not even doubted yourself, but maybe kind of doubted the path that you were on?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So going back to
Like
when
you,
I was
like I mean, like, has there been a time where you're like, man, I should probably go back to law school or
yes,
something,
yes. No, no, no,
get like a
seriously.
real job?
Seriously. No, no, seriously. Oh, like in that same vein, like when I was younger, I've always envisioned myself like as an entrepreneur, like owning my own business.
Okay.
Um, but that path is very hard. That path is very hard and it's not easy. And it was only
Yeah.
until my senior year, like the normal path, like if you want to do game design,
Mm-hmm.
is that you're going to, apply for, one of the top companies that are out there, like
Sure.
Bethesda, Blizzard, or Riot Games.
Mm-hmm.
um and that would have been an easy life for me. I would have had a stable, income, and
Yeah.
stable, at least a stable job, and something that I can depend on. But I chose, I know what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur and have my own game studio.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm very like happy. Oh, I'm so happy and so like I'm so just happy for where I am right now. But just the journey to get here has been really tough, and I have doubted and been like, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have just like applied to like a game company, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe like choose another career path. But not really. I've always wanted to be in games.
Mm-hmm.
But just specifically, I was, just contemplating like, man, like maybe I shouldn't have, just ventured out on my own so quick. But God, that's the other thing. Like God gave me the go ahead
Mm-hmm.
to start my own company. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've been trusting in, even though it has been extremely hard to do so, especially when my game isn't even bringing any revenue right now. We plan to release next year.
Yeah.
But I can see where God is leading me towards, and
Mm-hmm.
I just have to trust. But yeah, I have had doubts for sure.
Yeah. Do you remember the exact like day or night or really just moment that like it just became crystal clear to you, like, no, this is 100% what God wants me to do, and I'm going to obey
Hmm.
and do this?
Um, okay, there's just been multiple times.
Okay.
There's been multiple times where like God has either confirmed just like me being a game designer,
Mm-hmm.
or like me starting my own studio. So with me being a game designer, one of the things that I had questions on like early on in college was if if I'm a game designer, like, because I just thought there wouldn't be I guess like a market for what I was planning to do.
Mm-hmm.
Let me backtrack actually.
Sure.
I Yeah, so I was trying to early on. I was exploring ideas of developing like a Christian game,
Okay.
but I just didn't realize, I didn't know if there was even a market for that, or even if there were like game developers out there like me who wanted to create, like a Christian game. And
Yeah.
I left a comment. I remember watching a video on the evolution of Christian games.
Mm.
And that was in 2020. And that's when I like actually said, okay, like I want to create games for God. Like I see that there's a lack of, like Christian games out there,
Sure.
and I was just like, oh, that inspired me. I just wanted to create, games, for that had a purpose,
Mm.
and but I just didn't think there would be like a market for that, or like people that were like me that were in the development sphere.
Yeah.
So I left that comment saying, like one day I'm gonna be a game developer. And some to my surprise, actually months later, somebody responded to that comment
Wow.
all the way from South Africa. It was another girl who also wanted to be a game developer and saw my comment, responded to it, and just basically confirmed to me that like, okay, yeah, there is that market, out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other part to that would be when I kind of just needed more experience, or I just kind of was at a standstill and didn't really know what.
Like you kind of felt like you plateaued a little
Yeah,
bit. Okay.
plateaued in college, and and so I was there was like this online preacher that I followed on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I was kind of praying to God one night, like, God, like, please help me know like what my next step should be.
Mm-hmm.
And then like not even an hour later, I get a notification on my phone saying that, want to create games for God or like something from the online preacher. And then I click on it and it's just like, we need Christian game designers. I'm like,
How did that just
how
happen?
did
Yeah.
that happen? So, and then that led to me actually getting experience
Yeah.
with a startup game company and knowing the ins and outs of like, what goes into game development before I
Mm-hmm.
was even taught it in class.
Okay.
So that was actually very instrumental to my career. Like I
Yeah.
got experience as an art lead, so I was also leading an art team. And again, I felt so much imposter syndrome because I'm like 19 and these people are, maybe older than me, younger than me, have more experience than me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling them, like, I'm teaching them this art style that we're supposed to be doing. So that was yeah, that was big, but that was also how I got like my first like leadership project management
Yeah.
experience. And yeah, so yeah, it's just been crazy from there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've shared this story before on the show, but
Mhm.
that's sort of kind of how this podcast kind of came to be a little bit too.
Mhm.
It's a similar way
Mhm.
where I know that I wanted to do this.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm going to do it. And I looked up the money and I was like, that's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
but all right, but I'm committed to it. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
start saving up. And then literally that same night, whenever you're like doom scrolling in bed
Mhm.
and then one of the mods ads came up and was like, "Are you and Kokomo want to do a podcast?"
That's
I was
crazy.
like, "This is too good to be true."
I know.
Skip. I skipped it, and then 10 reels later, the exact same thing came back, and I was like, "All
Wow.
right,
Okay, I'll be
fine."
paying
And now
attention.
here I am. So
See,
yeah,
wow, and it's nice. It is just crazy to like, you're when God like confirms that path for you,
yeah,
like it's just like He will make that path like clear. Like it will, all
hmm
the steps will fall into place.
yeah,
And that's how I feel like with, my studio, with creating the game. It has been hard for sure,
hmm
but every time like, there has been like an obstacle or there has been like a need, like God has shown up and give me that person or that thing, or and I've been able to just keep going. And
hmm
so it's just been crazy, like overall. Like I just graduated and now like I have this team. We're gonna do a Kickstarter hopefully, and then hopefully get our game released next year, and I feel confident about it.
hmm
I don't know what's gonna happen for sure. Like I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna face, but like that has been like, I know that God approves of what I'm doing, and
hmm
like He approves of my path, and I just, yeah, that to me means more than anything. So I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you feel I don't know, maybe like a little bit of a sense of dread being in charge of like a big team and whatnot at all, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So I did have some like project management experience prior
Okay.
to leading this team, but not this big of a team.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that's the key difference.
Yeah.
So we started development my last semester of my senior year. So it was
hmm
January. I got in that December, November period. That was just me like gathering the team, seeing who would be available.
Yeah.
Some people actually ended up doing working on this as part of their independent study or capstone, so they got like class credit
Okay.
for working on it.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So yeah, it was my last semester, January, and I'm just like, all right, guys, we got this. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then it hit me that all the different departments that I have. So remember, I listed 3D animation, modeling,
Yeah.
sound effects, narrative,
The rigging and all that sort of
rigging.
stuff. Yeah.
They all need their own documents
Oh
of what to
gosh.
do.
Oh man.
I can't just tell them, like, okay, we need this. Like, even me just saying, okay, we need like a Mario style soundtrack for this game.
Mm.
Okay, I'm making a rhythm game, so I need to know the beats per minute, like what the BPM needs to
So
be
you
for
need to
the.
know music.
Yes, I need
Yeah.
to know music. I need to know, what specific style. There's so much Mario, sounding, there's so much songs within the Mario universe. So like what specific sounds. I'm just using that as an example.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, that's the level I quickly realized that, oh, I'm gonna have to have very detailed documents for all these teams.
What it is that I want.
That what exactly
man.
that.
Yeah.
So that was the part where I kind of felt a sense of dread. I was like, oh, they're waiting on me.
They're
They're
waiting
also
on
doing
me.
it for class credit.
Yeah.
And I have to make sure that they have something, that they can present as well. And I want to make sure that obviously what I'm working on, that this project is successful and that it looks good in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, there has been some some dicey moments.
I am responsible for these people. Yeah.
Dicey moments. Yeah, no, I literally said, and I've because we also had like a film crew at one point. Yeah, there's some people that were majoring in video.
Okay.
And so they were also part of the team, and so they did so they got some behind the scenes footage of like the meetings and like everything, and so we haven't posted that yet, but that will come out soon. Yeah, I think I said in one of those videos, like, it feels like a ship, like it feels like I'm the captain of this ship and I'm just trying to steer it to its destination and make sure that it doesn't sink.
There's just a really big hurricane too, and you're like,
exactly.
We're doing fine, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the part about like leading a team also, is just like, you can't you have to be brave. Like, even though like, I'm scared, on the inside, and I'm not like really sure, I don't have all the details. Like, I still have to be confident in my team. That's what it is to be a leader. You can't, yes, you can show emotion, you definitely want to be honest, but you still have to be strong. Like, even when, there's obstacles and stuff like that. So I just had to pull myself together and just get to work, making all those documents, making sure that every department had everything that they need. And also it helped me to come up with like an efficient system for creating these assets now. So it was a good thing,
Yeah.
It's been a good thing. So we have now a like pretty streamlined process of how we do things now.
Yeah.
So
finding that inner courage.
Yes.
To be able to look at that and be like, nope, I got to get this done.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I got a bit of a deep question for you here. So, being a spiritual person, I'm curious to know, because obviously God created the world as we believe it. Do you ever find yourself ever kind of maybe having a little bit of a God complex with your own creation ever? Like, do you ever get a little bit more focused on the world that you're creating and it's kind of pulling you away or kind of separating you a little bit from God because you're not spending enough time with him, and in this world you're too focused on your own world?
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah. And it's so interesting because even though I feel like, yes, this project is, it's something that God approves of, it still like can be something that like is causing me to distance myself away from God. So it's a little bit like ironic.
It's a double-edged sword a little bit.
Yes, yeah. And it's so easy to get yourself lost in just, the aspect of creating all these characters. And it's a lot of work as well that goes into making sure that, things run smoothly and that, all the, ideas make sense and, responding to people. So yeah, it has taken some time. Like, it has caused me to like take some time away from, spending that time with God. But I can actually feel when I'm not like as close to God when I should be, because then things like my mind just starts to get crazy in the sense that it's just unfocused. I'm just like, wait, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I just get unfocused. And like the path like doesn't become like as clear to me as much. And then when I start getting into that mindset, I'm just like, oh, that's why, like, I need to read my Bible again. I need to start praying again.
Need to read Ecclesiastes again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so it's like I notice when I am like drifting a little bit and I'm able to be like, oh, okay, that's what's missing, I need to go back again, so. But it's very easy to it's fun to like create your own worlds and stuff like that, but it's a good reminder to just, also you need to have that personal, make sure that that's also front and center as well, because that's what I'm creating the game for. Ultimately, like, I want this game, like, even though it won't like, be like, it's not like a preachy or like a Christian game in the sense that, you're learning about Jesus. It's not about that. But I still want it to serve its purpose in the world and help others, and I can't do that if my mind isn't centered on Christ, and if I'm not, in the right mindset. I'm going to
Right.
create something that's just, okay, it might be fun, but it's not really going to have
Mm-hmm.
any meaning to those that play it. So,
yeah.
So it's very important to me, like in this whole process, that I need to, stay centered on Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever find it difficult to, because praise really builds a lot of pride.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as we all know, pride comes right before the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So is there ever a time whenever you're, say, working on something, or as you're developing it, like you get a little sense of pride, like, wow, look at what I've created. I'm so cool. Do you ever get a quick little humble reminder at all? Or
I would say sometimes, but like just like I said, the journey has just been so like miraculous that I can't even I can't even be that way for too long. Like I can't even
yeah.
because it's just like I know that all of this, like, it doesn't come from me, like me having this team to help me having the skill set and the knowledge to be able to lead this team, to be able to craft things that are well designed. Like that's one of my talents that I realize, is that I'm a good designer, when it comes to at least, and I feel like in all aspects, even when it comes to art, which is also another one of my skill sets. But God has really blessed me creatively, and I know that it's not just from me. Like, yes, I have, worked on stuff, and yes, like I've had somebody say that, like, oh, well, isn't it just because of you? Like I've told somebody like my story before, and they've been like, oh, like, but like it's just because of your hard work. I'm just like, no, not really. Like, I don't
like
think you
10%
understand.
of it, maybe, but
like, I don't think you like. It's like it's not. It's yes, I am working hard, but like, it's just there's just some things that just can't be explained, and I know that it's from God.
Yeah. 10% of the work is me. The other percent
Yeah,
is
the other
I have
just
nothing to do
happened.
with.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah.
And I think people can see that too, because like I said, my path in college was pretty linear up until my senior year, when I just kind of was just like, I was working. So before my capstone, my capstone was my last semester.
Okay.
I worked on it as an independent study my first semester, which just means you just, start thinking of your, idea, that you want to present at capstone, and you start developing that with, a teacher.
Sure.
And, I, was doing that, I was doing that. And then all of a sudden I told my teacher, oh yeah, I just registered my own LLC. I just, and he was just like,
out of
oh,
the blue like that?
Okay. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. And then it's just like, and then from there, I had the LLC registered, and then, I was just like, okay, like, wait, I need to get a team. I can't do this by myself, and then, just getting the team. And then suddenly I have a 20-person team. And then the teachers are also kind of freaking out because they're just like, whoa, we've never had this before.
We didn't talk about this.
Yeah,
Hold on.
we've never had this before. Hold on. You need to like make schedules for all the team. And so I'm just like, okay, I'll make all the schedules for every single team member. So I do that.
Yeah.
And then, when, capstone comes and it's January, and then we're actually able to do the thing and actually when we develop a trailer, we develop a demo. And, the fact that this is still going on, it just, I don't think people can hear my story, or at least see, what's going on, and be like, like, oh, like that was, no, like it's, they could see obviously that, there's more at work here. I think a lot of people can see that. And, a lot of people have told me that they're inspired by what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, like what? Like, I'm inspired.
I'm just Imani.
I know. I'm
like,
just Imani. Yeah, I'm just doing this. This is just fun for me. But like, I could see that, my journey, even in its beginning stages, I don't even have my game out yet, like to play in the store, but this has just been already impactful for so many people. So yes, I'm just very excited, and I know that when it is out, it will continue to impact more people, because that's my whole goal, is to just create something that is meaningful and that also can educate people. Just going back to my roots of when I played games for the first time and I was able to learn through them. I want the same for Chef Nia. Obviously, I want it to be fun. That's my
Yeah.
whole thing, making a fun game.
Yeah.
But, when they play, my game, they'll be able to learn about different dishes from all over the world. And, so that in itself, it will be something new that they'll learn something new that they haven't learned before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously it's pretty crucial that faith is a big aspect that goes into your games. Um, are you ever nervous about maybe being a little too preachy with your message? Or are you really more like, no, it's more important to me to not maybe necessarily preach the message, but to at least put the values of Christianity into the game?
Yeah, I would say the latter.
Okay.
But I'm gonna answer your first question, but yeah, that's at least for right now, for
Mm-hmm.
what I'm developing first, it's just gonna have those values
Mm-hmm.
of like Christianity in there, like serving others and loving others. And it's also going to but it will be more than that. It will be a very relatable story because Nia, she drops out of med school to become a chef. That's
Okay.
the whole storyline. And, but there will be issues, with her parents, that her mom, like, thought she was going to be a doctor, that thought she was going to, keep going on that path. And now here she is,
Mm-hmm.
going to this, wanting to be a chef. So there will be like some, like family, little family drama that, you're going to have to navigate through. You're going to have to navigate through starting this new business. You're going to navigate through creating these new dishes.
Yeah.
So it's a whole process. But for your first question, when you said, can you repeat the first?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so it's important for you to obviously incorporate your faith into the game. So
Mm-hmm.
are you just trying to be mindful to not be too preachy with it, because obviously that could alienate some people?
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's also one thing that I did struggle with when I was first wanting to create games for God. It's just like, how am I gonna do that, and that was like a big struggle for me. And I think yeah, like I said, for this game, it'll just be more about having those values,
Mm-hmm.
in my game. But in the future, I do want to dive into, just the Bible, and I
Mm.
love the book of Revelations. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's very cool. I feel like a lot can be done in that book. Like there's a lot of good stories that can be told using the book of Revelations.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do see myself in the future creating like a game in that sphere.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I would say, yeah, that was my biggest fear. I don't want to ever come across as like, I'm like, beating people in the
Forcing
head with the
something.
Bible. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, forcing anything. That's not my goal at all. But I'll be very explicit when I am going to be referencing the Bible in a game,
Mm-hmm.
especially if I do it about Revelations. You know what it's going to be about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll say
Gotcha.
that.
Gotcha. So obviously the whole point of the show is to change people's perceptions here. So if
Mm-hmm.
there's anybody that is watching this and doesn't know anything about game development, and
Mm-hmm.
they think, oh, it's probably really easy. Like, yeah, it's a lot of hard work, but I'm sure it's easier than that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've kind of shared that it's not that easy.
Yes.
Um, in what ways would you like to change the perception of video game design and overall just video games in general?
I would just say that video games are just as good of a storytelling medium as, shows or books or movies. They do have the ability to impact people's life greatly. That's why a lot of people play them. There's that social factor where, in some games and in most games you can, connect with your friends, or, you can talk to your friends about the game. And then there's that emotional factor of,
Mm-hmm.
you playing the game, and, you're going through that character's journey and just seeing, the ups and downs, and, what it takes to, reach your goal, whatever that goal may be in the game.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a valid storytelling medium.
Valid, yes.
Yes. Because a lot of people see games and they think, oh, it's just for kids, but you can learn a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say to specifically the girls that are maybe interested in getting into game development or in the tech industry, there is space for you. I'm proof, of it. Yeah, no, like if you're interested in the industry, there is space for you there, and you can make it. If if you're passionate about something, it can be done. If there's a will, there's a way, so yeah, I would say that. And I would also say that the perception also needs to change on just the tech or the creative world being
Mm-hmm.
a valid career path, because
Okay.
like you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of people will say like, oh, you need to be a doctor or a lawyer. And thankfully, like my parents,
Real job.
yeah,
Yeah.
real jobs,
Yeah.
yes. And thankfully my parents, have been very supportive, even though my mom, she's an immigrant from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's not, it's not common there to like, major in game design, but she has been very supportive of, me being a game designer and pursuing my path because it's what I love to do. But
Mm-hmm.
some people aren't that lucky, and they get a lot of hate, and they're forced to do something that they don't want to do. So I would just love for, people to just be more educated. There is money to be made, if that's so there's money to be made for sure
Yeah.
in game design and in game development. And yeah, it's just a very awesome, yeah, it's an awesome like space to be in.
Yeah. Well, it also sounds like, from what you've been saying, is that
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like there's a little bit of opportunity for a little bit of a niche for just about everybody. Like, if you're
Mm-hmm.
not good at something here, but you're good at, say,
Yes.
like rigging or something like that,
Yes.
then you can be the rigger. If you're not really good at
Exactly.
rigging, then you can do, like, say, like the concept art and the character models. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's also sounds like there's a little bit of opportunity, like,
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. It's not just like so one and
Yes,
done.
exactly. And that's the other thing. Some people say that if you want to get into game development, you have to develop the whole game yourself. You can. You can.
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while. And there's one hit, like, wonders, I guess, or like, there are popular, solo developers that have made a name for themselves because they developed the whole game by themselves. The most like notable being like Stardew Valley. Like
Yeah.
that guy, he made the sound, the assets, he programmed the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's very rare for you to be skilled in every single corner.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be um, just know everything to create a game. There's, yeah, like you said, there's specific rules that you can focus on. Maybe you're
Mm-hmm.
just good at art, and so you want to create concept art for games. You can do that,
Yeah.
and that's translatable. It doesn't have to be just with games. You can do it for movies.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it for, animated films,
Yeah.
And the same thing with rigging. Rigging, we need 3D models not just in games, but also they use it for, Zootopia 2 that just came out.
Yeah.
That was a rigger. I know somebody that actually was a lighting artist that, he
Wow.
did the lighting and for Zootopia 2. Like he helped out with a few scenes there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, so there's opportunities for like everyone. If you're just into like maybe a specific thing, then there's chances are there's something for you there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Should have gone into game development. It is a real job, Dad.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
um,
Mhm.
I do want to kind of turn the attention, though, unfortunately, to the sort of negative side that video
Mhm.
games has.
Yes.
Um, I personally am on the side of that. I don't think violent video games necessarily are the root cause for some violent behavior that we do see.
Mhm.
I think there's a whole mix of things.
Right.
Correlation does not always mean causation.
Yes.
Um, so I'm a firm believer in that. So I guess I just want to get your take on, with a lot of violent video games out there, do you think that they can be part of a cause or are maybe a root cause to violent behavior or not really?
I would say no, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that it depends on, the game is just like a medium, just
Mm-hmm.
like how movies are a medium, so somebody can take that medium and use it to support their ideology, you know? So, and that, you know, obviously is, you know, that's on that person, you know? So, yeah, people can use games to support their crazy ideology, and it does happen, sadly. But it's in the same way, like people can, you know, see a movie that's about like, you know, fighting, or a horror movie, and then they want to act that out. So it's not necessarily that that games are the cause of, or I'd say violent video games in the sense are the cause of you know, violent, you know, people doing violent things, but somebody can, I believe that somebody can obviously like use it to support their medium. So I feel like that's where the discussion should be focused on, not that video games are just inherently evil and you shouldn't play them. Because I also I like to play shooters, you know. But I can separate, you know, my, like, you know, fiction from reality, and you know, there's no bone in my body that wants to do anything harmful to anyone. You know, but somebody, you know, can play a shooter that's, you know, maybe more realistic, and they can use it to, you know, support their ideology, and again, then that would be on that person, not the game, you know. So
because you would have to ask, like, what was the intent behind the
right,
game and the developer?
right,
You know, did they
exactly.
make it with violent
Right,
intentions?
exactly. And that's the other part to it. Yeah. So other developers, so yeah, developers, you know, um can't, like, you, as I've explained, like game development is a very intentional medium, right? So, yes, there can be like bugs and things that happen that we don't expect, but at least when it comes to the story and, you know, putting assets in, like that is all very intentional. So there is room for, like, yeah, developers can make games that are purposely violent, or, you know, that can, you know, promote like harmful behavior. And yeah, that can be also on the developer, yeah, as well. So that also is like another part to it, but thankfully there's at least regulations on a lot of platforms on, you know, what you can put on, you know, their platforms. So like with Xbox or Nintendo Switch, like if your game is promoting, has not safe for work stuff, or promoting like violent behaviors, they'll usually take it down. So that's another aspect to it. Yeah.
Because I know Nintendo, they are very selective of M-rated games that go on their platform.
Exactly.
And I don't think I've seen Nintendo put an M-rated game up there, and I don't know how
Exactly.
long.
I don't even know if there is
I don't exactly. I don't
rated
even know if
games
there is. Yeah.
game on there. Yeah. So I'd say, like, you know, the popular platforms that we see are pretty good at like taking down any games that would encourage that behavior. So it is twofold. Like developers can use their games to promote violent behaviors, and then, you know, a person also can use a game to promote their, or to support their ideology. But again, that is all, again, falls on that person, not necessarily, you know, the game itself. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So I want to talk just a little bit about Chef Naya, just a little bit. So and we'll play some demo over a conversation. But I am curious as to, because you kind of shared a little bit as to how that idea kind of came about. So what are you going to be doing in this game, essentially?
Yes. So, okay, the thing is that we have about like we have about like 3 games in the Chef Nia universe in
Okay.
development, but the main game that I've been talking about and referencing is our RPG, which is like a role-playing game.
Okay.
And in that you'll be able to like manage your food cart. So after, you know, Nia leaves her house and she goes to this new city, your job is to, like, you know, manage your food cart and, you know, learn about different dishes, add them to your recipe book.
Do you also
And
get to learn like different utensils and like a
yeah,
paring knife versus like a butcher knife or something?
yes,
Really?
yeah, there
Okay.
will be that. Yeah, because the whole thing is that with this RPG, she's older. And growing up, she also, you know, was into cooking, you know, primarily through like she would cook through her for her family, and her
Okay.
dad would, like, you know, teach her like the basics, you know. But now that she's
A little
older,
bit of a home chef, and now she's
yes,
wanting to
yes,
evolve. Yeah.
evolve, yes,
Yeah.
and be a little bit more fancy and gourmet. So
Yeah.
that's so that's what we'll be focusing on, just more of you know, like I guess more, a little bit more advanced like cooking techniques and advanced dishes and stuff like that. But then the other games that we have in development will start off with that, you know, you learning like basic recipes and stuff. But
Gotcha.
going back to the RPG, yeah, there'll be a whole storyline with that, and
Okay.
you'll be able to cook, explore the world around you,
Yeah.
complete quests, and
Okay.
it'll be a whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when can we expect the game then?
Okay.
Which is always, I hate being asked when.
Yeah.
When people ask me, when are you doing this? I dread that question.
I
So.
know. But okay, so we do have, our first game that we have planned coming out, and actually this is like, you're getting the inside scoop here, because I haven't even released this on my own.
Well,
the
you own the
Instagram.
company, so I mean, you're
no.
not going to get in trouble.
Exactly. But so we're developing a mobile game first called Chef Nia Rising Star.
Okay.
It takes place when Nia is like 8 years old and she's cooking dishes for her family.
Okay.
And so you'll be tasked with, just making those dishes, learning from your dad essentially, and just learning these new dishes every day, and presenting them to your family. They're going to rate it at the end with like their facial expressions.
Okay.
So it's going to be similar to Cooking Mama, if you've ever played that game.
Nope.
Cooking Mama. Okay. It's like it was a popular like cooking game on the DS.
Okay.
But it'll be more similar to that.
Okay.
And it's very simple and easy. Anyone will be able to play it.
Okay.
And so we aim to put that in the App Store, hopefully, by summer or fall of next year.
Okay.
Yeah, summer or fall. So that will be the
Gotcha.
first game that we will release to the public. That
Gotcha.
will be, and we plan to make it free to play.
Okay.
And there will be like, extra DLCs that you can get. Like, say you really enjoy a dish,
So that's where
be...
you're really going to sucker the money out of people. I get you. All right. Yeah.
No, but yeah, like there will be like, so say you really wanted, you really liked, making you really like learning about American food, or like, you made pancakes, but you want to explore that more, then there'll probably be like an American like food pack or something like that.
Okay.
Like later. But we plan to have like a pretty long list of recipes that you can make. We're aiming 20 to 30 in the base game, so there'll be a lot of content for everybody.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. We're trying to touch on each region, so like people can just learn about the different dishes around the world.
Yeah, having a little bit of inclusivity around the world. Yeah,
exactly.
Making it universal.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So anybody can pick it up. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Great.
Yep. So that's pretty much it.
So wrapping up here, I'm going to ask you one last question. What do you? I mean, you've obviously been kind of touching on it, but what are your big hopes for the future in the year 2026 and moving forward?
Okay, for 2026, just definitely getting our first game out there under Alethea Studios.
Okay.
But just in the future, I just want to be known as just for Alethea Studios to be known as a company that creates great games, impactful games, games that stick with you. So that's my goal, long term, and I would say that's just like my primary goal. And then not obviously because you guys might not know, but for Alethea Studios, I do want to eventually grow that to being like a multimedia company, because I'm very like multifaceted. Like, I really love art, and I also like to do voice acting on the side, and acting as well. And I could just see a place where Alethea Studios is like that, just one-stop shop for just like, producing either movies or films or, whatever, so I have a lot of big goals, but I guess the priority would just be to get that first game out there, and then eventually work on the RPG, and then eventually work on my other fantasy game that I haven't really like made public yet.
So kind of like with gaming, taking one step at a time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, do me a favor, go ahead and look at that camera right there and let people know where they can find you.
Oh, okay. So you can find us on Instagram primarily at Alethea Studios. And then, we are going to be, just follow us on Alethea Studios, because that's where we'll release information about our games, about when our Kickstarter comes out. And that's just the best place to stay updated. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I've really appreciated it.
Of course. And I'm glad that you, invited me on here.
Yeah, I've definitely learned a lot.
Yes.
So I am very intrigued. I'm actually full of more questions, but
Really?
Oh yeah. So we'll have a great conversation, I'm sure.
Yes, of course.
If you like today's episode, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you want, follow us on Instagram and also donate to us on Patreon, where you can get some pretty awesome rewards there. My name is Thomas Casey Zellers, and I'll see you in the next one.